Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to replace the injector seals on BMW and Mini engines B38, 48, 58, etc. These are generally from about 2014 onwards. You probably know that to take the injectors out you need some special tools. You also need some special tools to change the seals, the Teflon seals. However, I didn't bother buying special tools. I'm going to show you how to change them with regular household items. If these seals aren't changed properly, you're going to get compression problems, you're going to fuel economy will suffer, you'll have all sorts of problems with blow-by gases, etc. So they do need to be on tight and done properly, and this is a good way to do it without buying those special tools. We're going to need a ballpoint pen, disposable, 3 or 4 sockets, 6, 7, 8, 9 mil or thereabouts deep. You're going to need deep ones rather than just standard ones, you probably, and a few cable ties and the seals as well, obviously. First thing we're going to need to do is clean the injector best we can. Tissue, kitchen roll, isopropyl alcohol with some kitchen roll or something similar. What you need to do is just give the injector a good old clean, just rub it around. Be very careful with the tip of the injector. They're very, very delicate. There's a very distinct spray pattern, so you really, really don't want to damage the tip or block the tip itself. Just get around the edges and pretty much ignore the actual end, the actual tip of the injector. You can see on this one, we've got about 80,000 miles on the car. I think the injectors have been out before, but it's hard to tell. But as you can see on this, there's quite a lot of sort of grime and gunk that's come off the end of the injector. Nothing too serious though, so it's just a good idea to clean it as best you can before we attach the new Teflon seal. There you go, that looks clean enough. No problems at all with that. There you go. So for this one, let's take the pen, let's take the cap off the end of it. Again, you just want a pen that's a bit like this. The cap on this, I've cut the end ever so slightly, just so it fits perfectly over the injector. You're looking for something that's basically exactly the same diameter, or just fits over the end of the injector. You can see that just fits on nice and snug. Not too big, not too small. I don't have to force it to go on. It's nice and straightforward. Now what we're going to do is use this to stretch the new Teflon seal over and then onto the injector itself. So to do that, all we need to do is grab the new Teflon seal. Probably better to do this indoors, make sure the seal is actually nice and warm. Just pop it over the end of the pen or the pen cap. You can see it just fits on there quite nicely. Grab your sockets, basically start with the smaller one. In this case, I think that's a 7, maybe 6. Push the Teflon seal down a little bit. You can see it just moves down. So as it goes further down, it's basically stretching over this pen cap. So we'll just move it down a little bit. Move on to the next socket, the next size up. Push it a little bit further. These are deep sockets, by the way, so you're going to need something that's deep enough, obviously, to move it as far over the stretching pen lid as you can. So just move on one by one, going a little bit further. And then once it's towards the maximum size of the pen lid, the Teflon seal's then basically stretched far enough. So it's in the perfect position now just to pop it on the end of the injector. So if you just whack the pen lid back on the injector, get the next sockets. This is the final socket. This one's just wide enough to push the Teflon seal across. And there we go, it just pops over onto the injector itself. There we go. It's now over. So you've managed to stretch that with no problems at all, no fancy tools, nothing. That's just some pretty straightforward tools that you'll have lying around. Now you'll notice it's nice and loose. What it needs to do is when you cut them off the original, or when you cut the original seals off, you'll notice they were really, really tight. So what we need to do is now get those injector seals as tight as we can. So just rub it around with your fingers, just spin it around with your fingertips, push it, just see, basically get it as tight as you possibly can. Now it's not going to get very tight, it's always going to be very loose, so don't worry too much about that. You're just trying to get it as small as possible or as tight as possible. It'll only go so far though doing this, so just don't spend too much time on it. There we go. So once we've got it as tight as we can, we'll move on to a cable tie. Now just be careful with these cable ties. You're looking for the side that's flat, not the side that's got these little indents on it. don't use the side with the indent, because the soft Teflon seal will basically get score marks on it. So what you do is just wrap the cable tie round as tight as you can, a couple of times like this, and then pull really hard. You can see I'm pulling really, really hard. Now you need to support the injector itself. You don't want to put too much sideways force on the injector. You don't want to break the welds or the seals or anything, or the structure of the injector, but just wrap this cable tie around and then pull it quite tightly. You can see I'm really pulling it really quite tightly. And then just do this for a couple of times and hold it in place. That'll shrink the Teflon rings even further and get them tighter on the injector. Now you can see it still spins around, that's absolutely fine. Now I've just moved it to a slightly different size cable tie here. It doesn't really make a lot of difference, just find one that works for you. Something that's roughly the size of the Teflon seal itself is probably the best. Again, just wrap it around, give it a good old pull, just make it as tight as you can. You can see here I'm actually stretching the cable tie and putting quite a bit of force on it. And the idea is just to get it, as I said, just as tight as possible, so it's in that groove as best it can be. There we go. So it's never going to be perfectly tight, so don't worry about that. You're just trying to get it as tight as you can. This one's pretty much done, but it will still spin round. It's not tight and solid like the original that you will have cut off. But as you can see, you just keep doing this. Just hold it really quite tightly, but hold it for quite some time. Just keep the pressure on it. That Teflon ring will basically deform itself into the right shape. After a bit of time, just keep the force on, keep the pressure on. And then after a little bit of time, basically when your hands are tired, let go. There we go. You can see now it still spins round. It's not 100% tight, but it's really, really it's a lot tighter than compared to when it went on. So you imagine you stretch this thing to go over the tip, and now it's a lot tighter. It's a lot better. And all you try to do is get it as tight as you can, and then that's going to go into the engine quite happily. And when it goes into the engine, because of the way it's designed, you'll find that the seal actually tapers itself in as you push those injectors in. So we'll just keep doing this a couple of times. I think on the official tools, there's a recommendation you put this special tool on the end that squashes the seal into place. I think you're supposed to leave it on for like 5 minutes or something. So there'd be no harm in just keeping that under pressure with the cable tie for 5 minutes longer if you can be bothered. There we go. You can see it's about as tight as we're going to get. I don't think it's going to get any better than that. Now, why this works is the way the cylinder head's designed. So when you put the injector back in, you find the cylinder head is actually tapered. So I'll just draw a quick picture here. So you can see as the injector goes in, it goes into this sort of V-type shape. Obviously it's a cone shape in 3D, but you can see as the injector pops in, what it does is, because of this tapered design, it's then going to squash the seals into place perfectly when they're actually moved gently into the engine, into the cylinder head. So as long as the seals are tight enough to the injector, you should be absolutely fine, and there shouldn't be any problems at all. Now, I've done this on a Mini B38 3-cylinder. I took a compression reading before changing these, before changing the injector seals. Basically, the injectors had to come out for a cam cover, a valve cover change. It was nothing. The injectors were absolutely fine. It was just coming out for a valve cover change. Now, after putting them back in, obviously did another compression test, and the compression test before the injectors coming out. So that tells me that the seals are seated fine. When they push back into the cylinder head, they seated absolutely perfectly, and they're perfectly in place, and there's no problems with any gases, any combustion gas escaping past the seals. So perfectly happy. I'm very comfortable that this works, and the car's been absolutely fine now for quite a few miles, so very, very happy. So you have it, simple way, without buying special tools, changing the seals on your injectors. If you try it, if this works for you, or you find a better way of squashing them together, feel free to leave a comment. If you use this method and it works, fine. Drop a comment below and let me know if it works for you. and good luck.